Hi everybody, welcome back. This is going to be unit 1.9b, and we are adding and subtracting like fractions. This time though, we're going to be looking at mixed numbers. Okay, so go ahead and put today's date up at the top, please. And let's go ahead and get started. So the objectives are the same, except for we're going to change them into, we're going to put like mixed numbers. Okay, so we're going to do add like mixed numbers. Now our book calls it all the same. They call everything a like fraction, which they technically are, okay? But we're separating them out, so we're going to call them two separate things. And then the next one's going to be subtract like mixed numbers. Whoops. Okay, so adding and subtracting just regular fractions isn't so bad. To be honest with the mixed numbers, sometimes it's super easy. Sometimes it does get a little bit difficult. Okay, not as difficult as unlike denominator fractions or unlike fractions, but these can get just a little bit tricky at times. So stay with me. This is one time where you may want to watch this a few times through. If you need to. As you can tell, we're starting on example 2 because we're skipping around in the book. Okay, this is on page 120, so you'll kind of have to just look at the example numbers. Like it's not exactly because we split this in half. So just look back if you need to in the book. The book may show you something a little bit different that may be helpful. Sometimes it's actually more difficult how the book does it, I think. So whatever helps you, all right? Let's take a look at the first one. So let me scroll down here so I can see how much room I've got to write. Here we go. So we're going to find 2 3/8 plus 3 7/8. And we're going to write that in simplest form, which we already know. We always have to put it in simplest form. Well, the good part is, unlike with multiplication and division where you had to change them into improper, adding and subtracting, you get to pick. You can either keep them the way they are, or you can change them to improper. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you that I don't like to change them to improper. I've taught it both ways in years past, and the numbers just get so large, the kids get frustrated, I get frustrated, it's too much to handle. I prefer the other way, which is going to be leave them in mixed form. Okay, so if you really want to change them into improper, please do so. I can work with you kind of to the side here or there, but you do need to kind of self-delegate on your own here, okay? Try to learn it this way because I'm trying to show you what I think is the easiest way and the fastest way. And that's what kids always tell me is like, I just want to do it quickly. I just want to do it quickly, all right? What's the shortcut? What's the shortcut? Well, the more you change stuff from its original form, A, the more steps you're going to have, B, the more time it's going to take, and C, the math is going to get more difficult because you're going to end up with large numbers, okay? Especially when we get into the next couple lessons, which is going to be unlike fractions. So try to get it this way, and if you really, really have a hard time with this way, then come see me individually, and I will work with you outside of class time, and I will show you how to do this with improper fractions, okay? So let's take a look. We have 2 3/8 plus 3 7/8. So as long as your denominators match, you're good to go. And we are, so we're good. So what we're going to do is you actually are just going to put the whole numbers together first. So we're going to take 2 plus 3, which makes 5. Okay, that part's easy. Now we're going to take 3 plus the 7, so that's going to give you 10. And then we have 8 on bottom. All right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to split this apart. Okay? This means 5 plus 10/8. All right. If you need to put your pencil down for a second, just watch me and then come back and write all this down. That's fine. Okay. That's what it actually means, right? It means I have 5 whole ones plus I have another 10/8. So what I need to do is I need to change this 10/8 into something else. All right. In other words, I need to reduce it. Okay. So how can I reduce 10/8? Well, we can divide it by 2. So what I actually end up with is 5 plus, and in this case will be 5 over 4. Okay, hopefully you're with me and able to see all that. All right. Now what we need to do from here is we actually need to change the 5/4 into a mixed number. So 4 will go into 5 one time. Okay, so let me write that over here. So 5/4 actually equals 1 whole, right? And we'll have one piece left over. So if I have like a pie or a pizza cut into fourths, and if I have 5 of those, that means I have a whole pizza plus I have 1/4 left, right? Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to bring this number together with this number right here. So put those together. So it's actually going to be 6 and 1/4. Now I showed you how it all works. Okay, eventually you'll just get the hang of it and be able to just go, okay, this is this and this is this and this and this and this and this. Okay, so eventually you'll look at this and say 5 and 10/8. Okay, I know that that's going to go in 1 and 2/8 times, so that means I actually have 6, and then 2/8 actually means 1/4, and that's what I have. Okay, so practice it a little bit, rewind that, and watch me again if you need to. Just take your time with it. Don't get flustered here at the beginning. This is the easy part. All right, we're not to the difficult part yet. That'll come a little bit later on. All right, so yeah, that's it. All right, let's try it again. All right, so if you think you kind of have it, go ahead and try 2A, B, and C and see if you can get it. And if you get those right, then just try and need another example on your own a little bit later whenever we get to those. If you're still like, I have no clue what he just said and you're totally lost and you're just kind of shaking your head or you have your head down right now, go ahead and watch me on 2A and then try B and C on your own and then try need another example later. All right, so here we go. So we have 1 and 3/4 plus 4 and 3/4. Put the whole numbers together first. So 1 plus 4 makes 5. Okay, that should be the easy part. No one should be lost on that part. Now I have 3 plus 3 on top. That makes 6/4. All right, now I'm going to do it a little bit easier this time. We know that 6/4 is going to give us a mixed number. So let's find out what that mixed number is. So 6/4 is actually going to be, so we got to reduce it, so that's actually going to be 3/2, which is 1 and a half. Now put that together with your 5, so that actually makes 6 and a half. Okay? So I hope that made it a little bit easier that time. All right, let's try 2B. So if you haven't tried it on your own yet, go ahead and pause it. Please try at least 2B on your own. All right, and then you can always come back and we'll do 2C together again if you're still not sure. Okay, so let's take a look here at 2B. So we have 3 plus 8, that's going to be 11. 2 plus 1, that's going to be 3. And then we have the 5. So that one was super easy. Okay, 11 and 3/5. Done. That's it. All right, let's try 2C. Okay, now we have negatives in there, so you got to pull out those negative rules again. Same signs, because they're both negative, add and keep. So we got to add them together, keep the signs, okay? That means add everything together too, all right? So we could do 2 and a 4, so that's going to give us -6. And then we got to do 3 plus 5, that's going to give us 8, and then over 7. All right, now we need to take 8/7 and make it into a mixed number. So if you need to, jot that down out here to the side. 8/7 is actually 1 and 1/7, right? Okay, now bring in your -6, but you keep the negative the way it is. Okay, you don't do sign rules on that part. So it's actually -7 and 1/7. Okay, you don't apply the negative rules from your almost answer with your extra mixed number to the real answer. You only apply the negatives when you're actually getting the first part of the number. Okay, that's where some people get lost. Let me circle these here. This is kind of a mess through here. There we go. All right, so I really want you to try this next one on your own if you haven't done so yet. It's easy and you'll be able to figure it out pretty quick. All right, so please, please, please pause it and try this one if you haven't already done so. So let's do that. All right, let's take a look here. So we have 3 and 4/9 plus 8 and 2/9. So we have 3 plus 8, which is 11. 4 plus 2, which is 6. And then we have 9. Okay. 6/9, that reduces down to 11 and 2/3. That one was easy. All right. Can't make it any easier than that. That's why I wanted you to try that one for sure on your own. Okay. Now we're going to do some word problems. All right, don't panic. It's not that bad, I promise. So it says, LaShawn has 5 1/8 yards of ribbon to border scrapbook pages. If she uses 1 7/8 yards on one page, how much ribbon is left? So do we need to add or subtract? She's using the stuff, so that means we need to subtract. So we're going to do 5 1/8 minus 1 7/8. All right, this is where people start to like, I don't know. Well, here's what you got to do. All right, this is where people start to get flustered. You got to look at the whole numbers first. Can I take 5 minus 1? The answer, of course, is yes. I can take 5 minus 1. That's 4. Duh, what is he talking about? Okay, that's easy. But then we run into a problem. Can you take 1 minus 7? Can I take 1 minus 7? Nope, not so much. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to borrow. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to change this to where the numerator is larger than the first numerator on the left is larger than the other numerator. Okay, so what we're actually going to do is we're going to borrow a whole one from the 5. Okay, now think about it. If you're having things in eighths, okay, imagine a pizza because it's always sliced in 8 pieces usually, unless you're in some weird place, but usually it's in eighths. Okay, if you have a whole pizza and I come over and I say, I need to borrow a whole pizza from you. How many slices am I borrowing? Not how many pizzas am I borrowing, how many slices am I borrowing? And the answer would be 8. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I don't have 5 whole, I'm only going to have 4 whole now because I'm borrowing 8 slices. So what you actually do is you take the numerator and denominator and you add those together. So this is actually going to be 9/8. Okay, let me explain that again. We can do 5 minus 1, right? We already said that. We can take 5 minus 1, that's 4, we know, we're good, okay? But I can't do 1 minus 7. When you don't have enough in your numerator to take away, then you need to borrow. So when you borrow, you're borrowing 1 whole, which in this case is 8 slices of pizza. Okay, so you literally take the bottom and add it to the top. Whenever it's time to borrow, that's what you do every time. You subtract 1 on the whole and you add the bottom to the top. Okay? Or the top to the bottom, however you want to say it. I always say bottom to the top because that's usually the way it goes. Okay? Then we're ready to go. So that's going to give me 4 because I borrowed 1 whole. And when I borrowed 1 whole, I didn't borrow 1 piece. I borrowed 8 pieces. So instead of 1 piece, I now have 9 pieces. Okay? Now we're going to subtract 1 7/8. All right, so let's try this. So we have 4 minus 1. Now I can do that. That's 3. Got that taken care of. Can I do 9 minus 7? Yes, I can do 9 minus 7. That's 2. Okay, good. And then 8 minus 8, which is, 8 stays the same. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, that's going to give us 3 2/8. So now what I need to do is reduce that, which is going to be easy enough because that's easy numbers, so that's 3 1/4. Okay, in this case, it's how much ribbon, and that's going to be yards. Okay, let's take a breather for a second. If you're not sure what I did, just rewind it. This is one place where changing it into improper does make it easier, but honestly, it's almost more hassle than it's worth because you get such large numbers. Okay, it's actually easier if you just learn the quick way to borrow. So the quick way to borrow is from your 5. Actually, let me get my pointer here. I think it'll be easier. So if I take my 5, okay, hopefully you guys won't be able to see that. They don't have anything else to use. Yeah, you'll just have to kind of watch. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that or not, but take your 5, so take your whole number. Oops, now I'm moving the whole thing. Take your whole number, you subtract 1, that's going to give you the 4, and then you take the bottom of your denominator and you add it to your numerator. That's going to give you the 9. The denominators always stay the same. You don't mess with those, okay? So subtract 1 whole, take the bottom, add it to the top. Say that again. Subtract 1 whole, add the bottom to the top. Actually, let's write that down so we don't, we know what we just did there. So we subtract 1 whole. Add your denominator to the numerator. Okay, that's how you borrow. Okay, so to borrow, you subtract 1 whole and you add your denominator to the numerator. All right, now if you think you have this, yeah, I know. If you think you have this, go ahead and try the got it question. If you don't, just stay with me, it's fine. I know this one gets a little bit tough, all right? Not a big deal. It says the Daytona International Speedway is one of the longest tracks used in NASCAR races. It is 2 2/4 miles long. Richmond International Speedway is 3/4 of a mile long. How much longer is the Daytona Speedway than Richmond Speedway? So if I take 2 2/4 and I subtract 3/4, all right, can I do it? Well, I have 2 and then minus 0, technically, if there's nothing there. So yes, I can do 2 minus 0, but can I do 2 minus 3? No. So what do? I'm going to follow my borrow rule, which is to subtract 1 whole. So this is going to be 2 minus 1, which would be 1. And then I'm going to add the denominator to the numerator. So I'm going to take 4 plus 2, which is going to be 6 over 4, then minus 3/4. Okay, now I'm ready to go. So I have 1 minus 0, which is 1, 6 minus 3, which is 3, and then, of course, 4. So it's 1 3/4. And that's, I guess, miles. Yeah. Okay. All right, hopefully that made more sense. Okay. If you're still really, really not sure, just watch it all again, look back at the thing, and if you really can figure out how to do the improper one on these smaller numbers, like this one would be easy to do with improper fractions, okay? Try it that way. Just do whatever works for you, okay? Let's go ahead and go to the next page. All right, so this time we have Kiora, and she bought 3 3/8 pounds of apples. If she uses 1 7/8 pounds for a pie, how many pounds of apples does she have left? Okay, so we're going to start with 3 3/8, which is what she had. She's using 1 7/8. Okay, now try this one on your own first. Go ahead and pause it if you haven't done so. Let's take a look. All right, so I have 3 minus 1. Yes, that works. We're all good there. But can I do 3 minus 7? No. So what do? I need to borrow. How do I borrow? I subtract 1 off of the whole, which is 2. I take the bottom, which is 8, and I add it to the top, which is the top 3. So that's going to make it 11/8. Then I have minus 1 7/8. 2 minus 1 would be 1. 11 minus 7 makes it 4/8. And we know that 1 4/8 is actually 1 1/2. And in this case, we are in pounds. All right, hopefully you got it that time. All right. Next, we're going to switch gears, and we're going to find distance on the number line. All right, so if you remember back in the previous one where we found distance on the number line, we're just going to take absolute value, okay? So to kind of shorten it up or whatever, I'm just going to go a little bit quicker through this because we've actually done these before. So we're going to find the distance between negative 1/7 and 5/7. So we're going to take the absolute value of negative 1/7 and the absolute value of 5/7. Okay, we know that this is 1/7 here and this is 5/7 here. Now, the negative one is on the negative side, the positive one is on the positive side. So do I add them or do I subtract them? And I need to add them this time. So that's going to give me 6/7. Okay, remember, if you're crossing the 0 going from one side to the other side, then you need to add them. If you're staying on that side, then you just subtract. Okay, so let's take a look at the got it questions. Go ahead and pause and finish if you need to. And let's take a look. Okay, so we have negative 3/4, so that's going to be 3/4. We have negative 1/4, which is 1/4. Now, they're both negatives. Okay, so they're both on the same side of the number line. So we just need to count the distance from the 3 to the 1. So we're going to subtract them, and that's going to make 2/4. Okay, which is 1/2. And I'm not sure if the book will actually wants you to reduce that or not. Yeah, it says simplify necessary. Sorry, didn't read all the way through. Okay, so 1/2. All right, next we have negative 7/20, so that's 7/20. 9/20, so 9/20. We're on different sides, so we're actually going to add these together. So that's going to be 16/20. And then that will reduce by 4. So that gives me 4/5. That equals a little bit better. Sorry, the pen likes to drag on me. Okay, let's take a look at the next part. It says 6c, which is negative 11/15, so that will be 11/15. And 2/15, which is still 2/15. Remember, absolute value just means make it positive, okay? We're on opposite sides, so I got to first go from negative 11 to the 0, and then hop over 2 more places, so we're actually going to add them together, and that's going to make it 13, so 13/15. All right, and go ahead and try this one on your own if you haven't done so already. And let's take a look. So we have negative 3/5. So that will be, whoops, just 3/5. And then I have 2/5. Again, they're on opposite sides of the number line, so I'm actually going to have to add here in the middle because I got to count from negative 3 to 0 first, and then from 0 to 2. So that's going to give me 5/5, which is just 1. And that's it. Watch this one again if you need to, guys. I know the borrowing thing gets weird. All I can say is just keep repeating to yourself. Subtract 1 whole, add the bottom to the top. Subtract 1 whole, add the bottom to the top. Okay? So make sure your denominators match, which they will. Okay? Then check to see, can I actually subtract, or well, do I need to add or subtract first? Use your sign rules. Do I need to add or subtract? Do I need to use keep, change? And then once I've done all that, then do I need to borrow? All right, so just be careful with those. So thanks for watching. Have a great one. Bye.